trade rumors are heating up today in oil country as a big prospect hits the trading block, and the Edmonton Oilers are amongst a few teams in the running in the David Jiricek sweepstakes. All that and more today on Oilers Digest. We'll get into that in just a bit, but if you're part of the 16.9% that are subscribed to the channel, we'd like to thank you. But if you're part of the 83% that haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button. Lots of Oiler news today and lots of Oiler news this week as the team hits a bit of a bye week. But today, this video is also brought to you by Rentals.ca, who are proud supporters of Team Canada. While they've been supporting our national team defend their home court in international competition, they've also been helping thousands of Canadians find their home floor all across the country. Whether you're in Toronto, Vancouver, Montreal, Calgary, Halifax, Winnipeg, Mississauga, Edmonton, Victoria, or St. John's, from coast to coast, Rentals.ca have a ton of options to find the perfect place and price for you. Their website is clean and easy to use, and you can pinpoint exactly on the map where you want to move, finding all of the options in your area. Find your home court with Rentals.ca and check out their website in the pinned comment down below, or also in the description down below. Shout out to Rentals.ca for supporting our channel, Team Canada, and for you guys for finding the best rentals all across the country. And the Edmonton Oilers hitting the trading phones, and they might need a new acquisition to find a new rental. Working the phones, yes. Stan Bowman working the phones, currently trying to find a stopgap on the second pairing next to Darnell Nurse, even though that Nurse and Kulak pairing has been a chef's kiss, if you will. But the Oilers in the running. Of course, rumors abound in Edmonton regarding a possible trade for a left-handed defenseman who can play the right side. Oilers radio and television commentator Bob Stauffer did mention it this week in an interview with Gene Principe on Sportsnet. Several players do meet the criteria mentioned in the broadcast, which is a lefty who plays the right side and hasn't been discussed by the media, including Mike Matheson of the Montreal Canadiens, who we did have a video covering him in his potential fit with the Oilers, Olli Mata of the Utah Hockey Club, and Alec Martinez of the Chicago Blackhawks. Now, all of those three names, we're not going to focus on today, but we are going to focus on David Jiricek of the Columbus Blue Jackets. Yes, he was sent down to the Cleveland Monsters of the AHL, and Blue Jackets management doesn't exactly know what to do with him. Of course, he had that showing out party in the World Juniors a couple years back. Big rugged defenseman who can find a lane with the puck through traffic, and that's something the Oilers have desperately needed with Evan Bouchard having trouble doing that this year. And several teams are currently on the market looking for defensemen, especially a right-shot defenseman with size. Standing at 6'3", the right-shot defenseman is a prime candidate for teams to pounce on, as he has the potential to be a top 4 defenseman in the NHL, with the quote down below saying, if you look at teams that want to upgrade their defense, the Edmonton Oilers and Nashville Predators are potential landing spots, the source told RG, which is a media company in the United States. Both are interested in him, especially Edmonton, who are looking to replace Philip Broberg in their top 4. Wow, they're looking to replace a young defenseman with a younger defenseman. I mean, mind-blowing, right? But anyways, Elliot Friedman on the Saturday headlines on Hockey Night in Canada sort of put water to the fire with these rumors, with saying, we've talked about it for a couple weeks now, and that's Columbus and David Jiricek. I think there are teams making legit pitches for Jiricek. Columbus has to decide what they want to do here. Now, keep in mind, Jiricek did not ask for a trade request. This is Columbus having a blue chip prospect and trying to get the most out of him in a trade if they absolutely have to. There have been some reports of Edmonton, but just looking at it myself, I don't know that. I don't know if I see a match there between the Oilers and Blue Jackets. Columbus is looking for a young player similar in return. I don't know if Edmonton has the match to make that kind of deal, and it's unfortunate because Elliot is kind of right here, looking around other teams that have been in the trade rumors around Jiricek. The Nashville Predators, the Montreal Canadiens, I also heard, were in the running for a Jiricek. Their prospect pool, their draft pick pool, far superior compared to the Edmonton Oilers, so it'll take some convincing from Stan Bowman for GM Don Waddell of the Columbus Blue Jackets to try and get something going. Now, just seeing here, I mean, the Nashville Predators, they own 3 first-round picks in the upcoming 2025 NHL Draft, as well as a plethora of prospects and young forwards that could fit in Columbus's rebuild window, so the Oilers have some competition in that regard. Now, just analyzing Juracek's strengths, weaknesses, and results. He's a towering defenseman, 6'4", 209 pounds, who's at his best when active on offense. His combination of skating ability, vision, and a heavy shot that can beat pro goalies from distance are positive elements. Now, I mean, that's just a Czechia version of Evan Bouchard, which is music to my ears. I know Evan Bouchard, many. I've seen he hasn't had the strongest season, but you know what? Young defenseman, Evan Bouchard's a young defenseman, and Juracek also a young defenseman, as he only turns 21 in about 3 days, and 21 is he may as well be 18 years old in the NHL. Tons of upside with Juracek, and I think that's something the Oilers could pounce on if they can swing a deal for that. But again, I don't see it happening unless a miracle seems to happen, like the Ekholm deal with Nashville. Now, just looking at Juracek, he's only played 53 games in the NHL, only 1 goal. I know in the World Juniors he had many goals, from the point, trying to find that shot through traffic. But in the NHL, he's had trouble with that so far, and he's also had trouble in his own zone. But again, he's only barely 21 years old in 3 days. So I mean, the Jackets, I don't want to say they're giving up on him, but they just haven't had a lot of trust in him, and it could a change of scenery could benefit David Juracek, even if it's not the Edmonton Oilers. You want to see a young defenseman absolutely thrive in an environment that wants him. But instead, Edmonton will have to try to sell the Blue Jackets on some players who have limited to no NHL experience, like Matthew Savoy, who they acquired from the Buffalo Sabres, or Sam O'Reilly, their first-round pick this past year. Both those players have the pedigree of being former first-round picks and probably won't be helping Edmonton win a Stanley Cup soon, unless something crazier happens. However, even if this deal is possible, Juracek may not be the bona fide top 4 guy the Oilers hope to acquire. He has NHL experience, but his struggles in cracking a bad Columbus team are concerning, especially if they expect him to play premier minutes on a cup contending squad. And even then, like I said, 21 years old. How many times do I have to drive that fact home? A new change of scenery for Juracek would be nice. But again, the Oilers don't really have much to offer with draft picks. Of course, there is their 2026 first-round pick next year, but even then, they don't stockpile the picks like other teams have been doing. Although Jeff Jackson in Stan Bowman, of course, tried to rebuild the prospect cupboard this past summer, and maybe he will continue to do so with helping Stan Bowman in that regard. But let me know down in the comments what you think about a potential David Juracek acquisition. Of course, it would be exciting to see him on the Oilers, but again, other teams just have more to offer, and I think he will go to another team. But what is next for the Edmonton Oilers? Well, folks, we're in a bit of a tough situation here when it comes to Oilers hockey in these next coming days, as they do have a 5-day break before they head off to Salt Lake City and Denver, Colorado, to take on the Utah Hockey Club in the Colorado Avalanche. And also from Daniel Nugent-Hopkins of The Athletic, per Kris Knoblauch, winger Zach Hyman and Victor Arvidsson are 5 to 8 days away from a potential return. They've been ruled out of this weekend's game, Friday and Saturday at Utah and Colorado. So might see another game of top 6 Kasperi Kapanen, who had a phenomenal debut game with the Edmonton Oilers. And also, a guy like Vasily Podkolzin, he's been fantastic. Got his first goal against the Rangers on Saturday. I want to mention that. I mean, I've been a big support of him all season long, coming from Vancouver. And that's a situation where a change of scenery benefited a player, and that is absolutely what happened for Podkolzin. But let's take a look at the farm team, the Bakersfield Condors. Yes, this isn't exactly Condors Digest, but you know what? It is within the Oilers organization. You can see they're in the Pacific Division in the AHL. They are nearly middle of the pack there with a record of 7-6 in one shootout loss there, that extra column for the AHL, which is always wacky in their standings. But you know what? It's something different. And just looking at the basic analytics here for the Condors, Matthew Savoy with an even strength goal share of 67%, with 14 and 7 goals for in goals against. You can see there Noah Phillip, 61% goal share, and it seems to really drop off after Drake Caggiula, with Matvei Petrov sitting at a split 50%, and then again it just drops off into the high 40s and into even 38% there. I do believe that is what says for James Hamblin. And then just looking at the defensive side of things, Josh Brown somehow is, a Norris contender in the AHL or whatever the equivalent to their Defenseman of the Year award is. But in the NHL, again, he was kind of treading water in the NHL, but I mean, hey, if he's thriving in the AHL, all the power to him. And then just looking at some defensive prospects for the Oilers, like Philip Kemp, who's been phenomenal. I thought he would have been their first call up over Josh Brown, but I guess the Oilers just needed grit on the blue line, something that they don't necessarily have to have. But Josh Brown, again, all the power to him. Connor Carrick at a 50% goal share there. Max Warner, 50% goal share. Of course, he had a bit of a rough start to the year. Seemed like he was, trying his best, but a little too hard when you just need to simplify things as a defenseman. But the real storyline here for the Oilers this year is Olivier Rodrigue. He's running a .926 save percentage for the season, easily his best since arriving in the AHL 5 years ago. Edmonton looks set at the NHL level. Some may disagree with that. But anyways, Rodrigue could force his way into some games with the big club at some point. For management, he could be a useful trade piece or injury insurance over the rest of the season, or if need be, call him up for a few games, because of course Stuart Skinner sort of thrives when it comes to competition. That's what happened in the playoffs last year with Calvin Pickard. Pickard started 2 games against Vancouver, and Skinner came back in, took the crease, and the rest is history. But for the Oilers, that's a look at the future stars of tomorrow, and you can watch them tomorrow as they take on the Abbotsford Canucks on AHL TV. Of course, they do have a website. They have an app, I do believe. So if you want to watch, the Oilers farm team while the Oilers are currently off until Friday, it's probably best to do so. I know I will be. And you know what, for the AHL, it's not exactly the most exciting hockey, but you know what, folks, it's hockey nonetheless. Let me know down in the comments what you think about a potential David Jiricek acquisition, a trade. What would you trade for Jiricek? Would you rather go for somebody else, not spend as many trade assets? And what do you think about the Bakersfield Condors this season? Do you want to see more Condors content throughout the season this season to sort of balance out the Oilers in the Condors, of course, balancing, the present with the future? Let me know down in the comments, and make sure you subscribe. Have yourselves a fantastic day and a good start to the week. I'm Matt.